Cubs Man is the story of my peak kind moment. I attended a Cubs meeting as a volunteer one evening, shamed into signing up as a helper by a visible rota on the wall, with parents encouraged to write their name against a session. I thought, while I'm here, I might as well make the most of it, play the games and get stuck in. One of the two Cub leaders asked us all to stand in a circle, 10 or so children, including my daughter and her friend. Cubs is made up of girls and boys aged between 8 and 10.5 years of age. I happened to be standing next to the other Cub leader, an adult man perhaps in his 40s, an earnest, enthusiastic-seeming individual with a flushed face. Having arranged ourselves in a circle, we were then asked to hold hands. My daughter and her friend both watched me, sniggering, wondering what I would do. Would I quickly find a child to stand between me and the adult male to avoid having to hold his hand? Or would that look like I was trying to avoid holding his hand, which was exactly what I was trying to do? How would that make him feel? Would he be offended? Might he do something to try to avoid holding my hand? Or perhaps the other Cub leader would notice and ask us to shuffle around. Or maybe it didn't matter, just two people holding hands, nothing to see, no big deal. It was this thought, that it was all fine and normal, and something in the back of my mind about modelling confidence to my daughter, that made me suddenly reach out and take his hand in mine. There was no going back. Behaviour modelled, but what exactly was I teaching her? By mistake, I showed her that if in doubt, be polite. Don't make a fuss, just be nice. As I stood there holding this man's big, damp hand, someone I had barely spoken to, I then felt unable to drop it. The instructions from the Cub leader kept coming with no imminent sign of the activity requiring hand-holding actually taking place. It was only after most of the children had dropped hands, realising there was no point, that I felt able to wriggle my own hand free from his. Not once did it occur to me in that moment that I could actually have boundaries, and that choosing who I hold hands with could be one of them. Cat Person. On the way home from Cubs, I thought about the viral story Cat Person written by Kristen Rupenian and published in The New Yorker. The central character, Margot, decides to end a relationship with her older boyfriend, Robert, but she isn't sure how to do it politely but firmly. She eventually ends it abruptly in a text after advice from her roommate. When she sees him in a bar a month later, she worries that he is looking for her and she avoids him. That night, he sends a flurry of text messages. At first, his communications are friendly but become more unpleasant and jealous when Margot does not reply. The story ends with him calling her whore. While I would have been surprised if the volunteer Cub leader had called me a whore for dropping his hand in a circle of 10 children, I faced the same uncertainty and pressure as Margot did. How to be polite but firm. Cat Person, unlike Cubs Man, is a breathtakingly resonant and in places grimly funny account of a woman's eye view of a romantic relationship. The honesty of Margot's inner monologue throughout the story is part of the literary magic, because we learn that she prioritises Robert's feelings and perspective throughout, at the expense of her own. So while the story is told from Margot's point of view, we actually read it from two perspectives. The first is what she is really thinking. She doesn't particularly like him, and the second is what she imagines Robert is thinking, that he finds her young and hot. And that fantasy, his imagined consumption of her, matters more to her than what she actually wants. Margot is experiencing reality vicariously through what she believes he expects from her. The fact that she is smarter, younger and more attractive than him, thinks him ridiculous and doesn't even fancy him, is irrelevant.